Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach JW, and joining me at the table, as always, are coaches Alicia and Ann. You head out for the standard daytime ride in June. Your pace is a full minute slower than normal. However, your heart rate is redlining and your lungs are on fire. Today, we're breaking down some of the physiology of the summer pace penalty, why hot weather tricks your brain into thinking you've lost your fitness overnight. And we're also going to be breaking down some peer-reviewed post-workout sauna or hot bath protocols that can help you build a summer engine, right? Adaptation to the heat without forcing you to suffer through midday heat stroke. First, we're going to open up the training logs. It's been a few weeks since the three of us been together, so there's probably some updates. And I will kind of let everybody know as soon as we are through the training logs and we get into today's topic. Both Ann and Alicia, we are having a pre-recording discussion and a lot of hit record right now because this is great stuff. So we're going to hope to try to recapture some of those points of view on hydrating and training in the heat. But first, let's do the training logs. We'll start with Alicia up in my top right. What's been going on for the last few weeks?
Yes, it's interesting when we talk about heat training because I feel like I got to have a great race with the temperatures in like perfect conditions. And then the following week, I did the same exact race-esque, but in 90-degree heat in humidity, 95% humidity, and 1 p.m. in like the heat of the day. And it was a whole nother type of race. So it's interesting when no matter how you train, what can come about on race day. But I feel like from somebody who coaches this and we go over this stuff, I give myself credit for pulling back on pace, listening to using my heart rate as like my check engine, and fueling the crap out of this race. At one point, like it was a game. So if many of you guys know, I competed in high rocks. The first week I did doubles with my sister, and then I had 1 week to recover, taper again, and I did it solo. But the temperatures and the weather was not in my favor. I think I was a little too tapered, and but I still had a ton of fun out there. But one of the things with high rocks is you're constantly worried about penalties. Like, I don't want to get a penalty for this or a penalty for that. And I just, like someone said, like if you spit on the course, you'll get like a penalty. Most of these races are held indoors. This event happened to be outdoors. And I'm like, the whole time, I'm like, I just want to spit. I just want to like snot rocket. Or again, thankfully they had hoses, like trying to cool people down, which then you're just getting wet and splashed. But I just wanted to like pour water down my face. And I'm like, am I going to get a penalty for this? So it's like the unknowns of racing, new races. You don't know until you know. But had a great experience overall. And Anne was asking me earlier, she's like, so are you going to do it again? And if you asked me like 6 months ago if I was ever even going to do a high rocks, I was like, absolutely not. I think this is silly. This is a weird race. And then I did it. I trained for it. During my training, I'm sure you guys heard me talk about it. I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm doing I'm objectively getting stronger, but like, this is new territory. And now I've gone onto the other side, and I have a goal, and now I have something I want to like beat. So a marathon is a marathon, whether you do it in New York City or Richmond or in California. Obviously, different terrain, different environments, different elevations can change a time. So I'm trying not to get so caught up in a time. But now I have a goal of like what I want to achieve and how I can improve and do better and train differently too, and fuel. So how about you, Anne?
That I have nothing compared to what you just did. I got nothing. JW, like, no, it's
But no dragon
It's
boat? No.
No, it's not dragon boat season. It's too hot here. It's so bloody hot. I think the other day we got into the truck and it was like the truck was reading 112. I saw something that said we're not going to be below 90 until like the end of September. So, no, I've just been,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
You chose to move there, right?
yes, we did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I've recently, including tonight before we got on here, I've discovered new bugs that I have never seen in my life, and I'm not. Anyway, no,
But you're like, you must be very heat adapted.
well, I don't know because I work in the AC and I get into my cooled car and then I come home to the AC. And it's really to the point here that we even really watch when we take the dogs for a walk. So they go out early in the morning, or they'll go out like right at sunset as it cools down. So for me, I mean, I've been walking in the mornings. I do have was it Saturday morning? What I went out and I could almost feel the difference I could feel the difference in 30 minutes of like just the heat just like popped right up. So this is the time of year if you're going to get up and get anything done, it should be at like 5 a.m. And even then it's just the sun's not up, but it's still just muggy.
Like with the dogs, though, you're probably worried about their pads burning, right?
Yeah,
At
and
that
for them
temperature?
too, I mean, it's like they've got wool sweaters on and then they're going out in the heat. So they don't really want to either. We don't take them out on walks, after work or
Well,
maybe
while we're
later in the evenings.
hibernating in the winter, they're getting their luxury.
Yeah.
So,
That's what that's the thing. Like, this is our off season. There aren't a lot of races. There are a few that pop up. Like, we've got a 4th of July run that's coming up. That's always that's the one last year. I don't know if we weren't doing the podcast, but, that the streets like literally flooded because we had this flash flood that came, this flash like rainstorm that came through and the streets flooded. And they
I
still
remember that.
remember that? Like there was
video you
lightning going off and I'm like, this is how it's going to end. It was crazy. But, yeah, we've just been walking. I did have the intention to swim last weekend. We went out to the beach and we were under like some pretty crazy waves and things like that. So I walked and sat my butt back down in the chair. Those are my
Hands got
training
to shift
logs.
a little right. Shift right.
Oh, see,
There
I
you
told
go.
you. That light. I got to stop moving.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, but not sorry. That's
That's all I got.
I mean, it's going to be a good segue to kind of what we're talking about. I mean, and everybody's, I think, talking about it now because it's happening. But quick updates with me. Had an athlete, Matt. Shout out to Matt. He ran Rockford, Illinois, 70.3 on Sunday. So it was his first official 70.3. So congrats, Matt. He finished at 7:21.
How was that course? Did he
Pardon
How
me?
was the weather? Was it hot too? It was hot on Sunday. I'm trying to remember. Was it?
I mean, you're hot compared to Ant's hot compared to mine are probably all
We got 3
relative, right?
variables. Like we're way different.
like we haven't hit over 20 here in a while, which is what 68 for you guys. So
Oh my gosh,
it's cool. So
be freezing.
it wasn't too bad. I think like he didn't say anything about it being stinking hot. I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the course. So he did really well. So it was a big shout out for him. He sounds pretty excited. We'll do a debrief tomorrow. I'll get all the details. But he sounds pretty happy and stoked. So big shout out to Matt. And then I got 3. So I have Jess, as we all know, is getting ready for that Sinister Triple. With her, we have Sarita and Donna. The 3 of them will be hitting the start line here in about 3 weeks for the Sinister 7 Ultra. So, we're dialing in, right? Like, and as we were just talking prior to hitting the record about fueling and hydration and, one product over another and what's better, best, or ideal or ultimate, I guess, if you want to call it, or good, better, best is, I guess, what most people say. But, we're dialing it in. We talked a couple episodes ago about, checking reservations and checking, registrations to races and equipment. And, so it's kind of like my little public service announcement for anybody, that's kind of close in, I'd say within 4 weeks of that race, check those gels. Do you have to order them? Are they coming by mail? You got to go to the store. Are they sold out? Whatever hydration, which we may change your minds, we may not after this episode. What are you going to use? Make sure you've got it all. Get your logistics all squared away. We've started doing it here already, right? Just making sure that we're stocked up and kind of ready to go. And then even as a coach, having those conversations with these athletes as we're heading into the last few weeks of training, it is, have you checked this? What are you doing? Are you trying this on the runs, the long runs that we're doing? And the three of them right now, their long runs, we tapped out at 4 hours. So they're doing 4 hours once a week. I think they got one, maybe two more 4-hour run. And then we start to taper for that race. So looking forward to it. Obviously, we'll keep everybody updated on that, but it's, we're all ramping up for race season. So whether it's your 70.3, it's your high rocks, it's, CrossFit competitions, for those of you who can still boat or get out and do things, we're all ramping up. And so we thought, Coach Alicia kind of brought it to the front that maybe we should talk about, heat acclimation, right? And then just before we hit record with the heat acclimation, we keep talking about hydration, right? Because I think they kind of go hand in hand, and we've talked about them separately for sure, but I think this is going to be a pretty good 3 points of view episode today on heat acclimation and of course that fueling as we get used to it. So I think what we can first start off with is we kind of have a little bit of a loose guideline here is basically let's talk about the summer pacing. Right. So everybody's, if you're not already into the heat, we're coming into heat. I get a lot from athletes like, holy geez, I'm slow. Like, what's going on? I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And let's start with you. How do you, let's use that question or that statement. Why are my runs feeling so slow right now out in the heat? Right. How do you deal with that with your athletes?
It's really, it's got to be a mental shift. Your body is working harder. Your body's working hard to keep itself cool. So your runs are going to be slower. They should be slower, whether you're going by pace or heart rate or even power. You've got to really pay attention to your body and pay attention to how you're feeling because, man, it can sneak up on you really quickly. So I coach my athletes by heart rate. And I always tell them, I'm like, this time of year, especially for us, you are looking at you're going to feel slower because you are slower and you should be slower. So you're going to start out, you're going to feel great and your heart rate's probably going to skyrocket. So this is where we practice run walk. And it's very hard and it's frustrating. But if you can get through the summer, like I have a big belief that PRs are gained in the summer. So you've got that heat, you've got to work through it, you've got to learn to slow down. But then once you're through all of that and the cooler weather happens for you guys, it'd be like your typical fall races. If you're training through the summer and through that heat, and then you've got a fall race where everything's nice and cool, you're going to feel amazing. So I just set the expectation of time on your feet. It doesn't matter how fast you get there. I do my training by time anyway. So you're not going out for like a 5-mile run and this week it takes you an hour and 15 minutes, but in the fall it only takes you an hour. We just need to make that pivotal adjustment. And then the other part of it is like, that's part of being a coach. That's why you hire a coach to help you walk through those things and help you understand like it's okay and why is it okay, and just trusting the process.
Yeah, very, very great valid points, right? Like, you slow down. It's hot. Everybody's going to be going through it. Now, the only caveat I add to that for my athletes is, what's your race? When's your race, right? If you're going to be racing in the heat, get used to running in the heat. It doesn't mean all your training runs have to be in the heat. But, we have that principle of specificity, right? And that needs to be not just, if you're running a flat course, yeah, you're going to train more for flat speed, right? You're a hilly course, you're going to train for hills, but you also still need to train for like the weather and everything else. And, we'll get into some of the science side of it after, but really 14 days to climatize, right? And in that acclimation, what's actually happening is we're building up the blood plasma volume, right? And that is what is, used in the peripherals to cool us, the sweat, right? Is the more volume that we have of blood, the more that we have to be able to keep all the organs going, keep the muscles going and everything else. And so on the science geeky side of it, if you want to say, the reason why we're going slower in the heat is because we're trying to cool. Like the body's just trying to do so many different things like cooling and still get energy to the muscles. But if we don't have that volume, it's just got to divvy up what it's got, right?
I think too that I'm going to jump in. Sorry, that I
Yeah.
think too that you really have to pay attention to what you're wearing.
Mhm.
That sounds silly, but put a hat on. Like use that hat or a visor at least. I prefer, well, I've been running with a visor but I prefer to race with a hat so that I can put ice in it and then put it back on my head and let it slowly melt. I also have raced, I've raced some really, really hot races. I have sun sleeves that
Mhm.
actually are cooler when they're wet than when they're dry. So help cool that temperature. It makes a huge difference. And down here, the reality is like, I don't really know anybody here. So I, I'm walking and running in my, sports bra and shorts, something I never would have done when I
The
knew
less
all these
clothes, the
people.
better. I am
Yes,
all
like
for
right?
naked
Like
running. No.
right. I was walking in like a tank and shorts the other day, and like I told you, the sun came up and the temperature started rising. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, took off that extra layer and just makes a world of difference. Anything you can do to cool down.
See, I'll be a little devil's advocate on that one. Surprise.
Uh-oh.
Now, was it
And
like a
so it
cotton?
begins. What?
So yeah, we might as well start. Is it a
It was,
cotton t-shirt, like, or was it an actual like a tech sports where it's designed to
listen,
wick?
I know better than to wear cotton. No, it was
No,
not
it's
cotton.
a fair
No,
question for our athletes as well, right? Like,
sorry. Yes. No, it was
ri-
not cotton. It was like a moisture, and it was loose fitting. So
yeah,
it should have
yeah, because
been breathy.
I believe, and this is how we as a family do it as well, especially with the kids, that if you can cover up, right? Yes, loose and stuff like that. The more that we kind of cover up a little bit, the less direct sun on us. Therefore, in theory, we should be cooler, and it works well for us. It's not going to work well for everybody, but that's how we do it. So I do like things on my, put the sunglasses on, put the buffs over the head so that it also tails like the pirate's cap, as the kids call it, right? So I got the tail that's also on the back of my neck, keeping the sun off. And then I usually put like, buff around my neck too. And a lot of people come up to me and go, "Aren't you hot?" And I go, "Yeah, but I think I'm hotter if I have the direct sun on me when I'm out there running." So just a different point of view, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
then,
can see
look
if
at
you're
the
sweating and then the wind is cooling you down, that's breaking it. But if you're not able to, because think about those things that people are wearing. The idea behind it is that it's cooling you down, but you have to be getting it wet constantly. Otherwise, it's going to technically warm you up. It's like you might as well be putting on a headband, right? So it's, if you're just going out for a run and you're not racing where you have, things
Mhm.
to kind of keep cooling you off. Yeah, I definitely see both ways.
What
It's
is that
funny.
thing called? Sorry, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
it's that. Yeah, I
It's like
know. It's like
looks
super
like ice
expensive.
cubes or
It's like
something.
$300.
Yeah.
It's a cooling. It's a really cool concept, but there's still a lot of, I don't know if there's enough research on it to say yes, it does work essentially, or is it more of a mental thing of like, I feel cooler, therefore I can perform better.
Or is it, a snake
Yeah,
oil, right?
yeah.
Like, is it, like you say, wait for the research and stuff come out. And
Mhm.
the only thing other that like I compare to why we like to cover up more, like I say, and like I like the sleeves and the buffs and everything is,
Yeah.
the desert dwellers, if you want to call it that, right? Like they are in full length linen, everything's kind of covered. And apparently they're not overheating, yet they can go out into the hot Saharas or Florida temperatures kind of thing, right? Like, so there's got to be something to it. I think both. And again, like you're saying, Alicia, I think too, it needs to be specific what you're doing. I mean, if we're going out for like an hour run, like you shouldn't need water on an hour run. You shouldn't need this. You shouldn't need that. Depends if you're training. But if you're going out for 2-hour run, but is that hour run just a foundation? Is it, intervals? All these different things would change whether or not you'd say bring water or cover up or not. So, how do you deal with that with your athletes when they bring it up?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I've had my athletes for over a year training. So they trust me. But you get those, or I'll get a message on Instagram about like this very thing. And my sometimes answer is, this is terrible, but it's sometimes you need to suffer to learn, right? I look at my kids. You put your hand on the stove, oh, you burn yourself. You're not going to do that again, right? So, okay, you think you can run this at this pace in this heat and humidity? Go do it. But then I want you to also, in one, you're probably likely going to fail and feel miserable and have a headache and cuss me out. Like, why would you give me that? But are you actually going to be able to show up for tomorrow and the next workout and the next workout and the next workout too? Because you killed yourself on this one workout that you should have if you just pulled back, hydrated a little bit more, fueled properly, how would you be feeling? So there's definitely, sometimes you got to learn the hard way to learn the right way. And I will, like I said, as your coach, I'm just going to pull you back. But sometimes, and everybody likes to, I don't know what you see, everyone loves to live on the top end of their zone too.
Oh, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Why, I don't know, but yes.
I don't know.
And it's like, okay, do it then. If you really want to be there and it's going to make you feel better. But then if you're not showing up on the top end of your 20% days, let's have a conversation, or you're feeling like crap, or suddenly you're feeling a little niggle, or you're not sleeping well. You got that, like,
I think it's ego. It's got to be. Yeah, I'm going to chalk it up to ego as a runner, or endurance, bike, swim, whatever sport you're doing. It's everybody wants to always be pushing the limits, and I think we're doing very well at breaking that old stigma or that old way of thought of pain is this leaving
leaving the body.
I'm like, seriously, like, come on.
And I'm guilty of it too. Like, I mean, we're all guilty of it. So that's why we can talk about it. But
I think too, like there has to be, like you said, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like we as a society are so used to being comfortable, and it takes endurance athletes, especially, bridge that gap of being like they know how to be uncomfortable, but I feel like we're getting softer. And we're just not that I'm saying go out and like push it and kill yourself on a 90-degree day with whatever the dew point is down here, but
or turn off the AC in the house.
Yeah, or sit in front of like in a sauna and a trash bag. But there also has to be a time, like you said, Alicia, if you are going to suffer through that run and it's going to impact the rest of the week, then dial that back. And I would be fine if I saw, I'm not going to say every run, but occasionally an athlete's like, it's too hot. I'm going for a 30-minute walk instead of this 30-minute run. Perfect. You make the call. But on race day, you aren't going to be able to predict the weather. And when that sun is blazing and it's hot out there, you've got to be able to kind of like, because you've trained in it. That's where, train in all weather, train in all situations. And then on race day, you're better for it. You're a better athlete for it.
Well, and I think part of why athletes are, I'll go to the athlete side and say they're getting better. They're not as bad as they used to be, but we do always tend to want to be at the top of zone 2. And if athletes are saying that, but everything below that is too easy, then that's a cue to us coaches that, okay, let us know. That's just part of the communications, and we will adjust your zone so that it's not that easy anymore. And then you fall, like I've done this with some athletes where it's just like, okay, you want to keep going on top of your zone 2? I'll go in and change their zone. So now they're in the middle. Kind of thing, right? And then so now they're kind of getting used to being in the middle. And there's just so much science out there now and proven science to say that the slow is better for developing endurance, right? So, and I think, I can't remember, sorry, I think you both mentioned it, RPE. I mean, that's a good segue into the RPE part about, because I'm the same way with my athletes, right? It's just like, yeah, you need to slow down until we can build up that blood plasma volume, and we can get it, because right now, a lot of your blood is going to try to cool you. So slow down, right? And wear the right clothing, stay hydrated. But this is now going to come into that RPE part. And you need to take the perceived effort and drop it, because if you're telling me you feel like you're dying trying to keep up the pace and in the heart rate or the pace and the wattage that you're used to, then go to RPE and drop it back. And I am 1,000% on board with you, Alicia, that the heart rate to me in training is the check engine light, right? And so when that does start to redline or start to go too high, then we do need to dial back, or we need to look around. Like, I'll tell my athletes, are you climbing a big hill that you didn't slow down for? Are you getting sick? Or is it 100 degrees outside? Right? Then those are some cues that, slow it down and RPE. I make my athletes do the whole smiley face. So in Training Peaks, everybody's familiar with, how was your run? Tell me, was it a smiley face or was there a frown? Right? And then what was your RPE? And then if you're doing that proper and you're knowing what your body's like when you do that and you actually reflect back on the race. I know a lot of athletes will just do it because it's done and do it fast. But I ask, reflect on that run that you just did, or that bike or that swim, and how did it truly feel throughout the whole thing, not just at the end, because especially if it was a hard session, we're all going to feel like junk after that. And we're probably going to say hard, but what was the overall session? Anything different or to add to the RPE?
Not necessarily to add. I just kind of actually wanted to mention, like, think about how you trained in the winter. Like, if it was a really, really, icy, snowy day, would you go out and do that key workout? Like, you would likely go onto the treadmill and still get that great workout. So if you have to, when you're looking at your week and it's, the weather's not optimal, do that key workout on the treadmill in the AC with the fan blowing on you, and save that hot run, outdoor run for your foundation, easy, recovery runs. So you're still kind of getting that heat adaptation, but you're also making those key workouts, and you can kind of still feel like, okay, I do still have speed. I can really do these efforts. Or if you're fortunate enough to have like an indoor track that you can go into, or at least doing, being smart about running early in the mornings before the heat hits in, or late at night. I don't know about you. I don't think I can train late at night. That would make me a little nervous too. But, and then I'm sure this will kind of segue us into sauna, hot tub, passive heat.
Yeah, I actually had prepared a nice little fact sheet for this one. And so I was just going to add that what you're seeing is, and what you can expect to see, because of the peripheral shunting, right, and stroke volume drop because of everything that's going on in the heat. One second. You can look at about 10 to 15 beats per minute difference just because you're out there in that heat. And that's what the athletes are going to be seeing, because that is just simply, that's, I'll call it the compensation spike. The heart is spiking. It's trying to compensate for all that peripheral pooling and trying to cool the body. So yeah, you want to talk about that right now?
What is
let's talk about sauna. Let's talk about sauna.
Yeah. Okay, good. The sauna or heat activation, right? So we, when I'm talking with the athletes after, and so I'm explaining to them why they're happening, and or there's, this is good for destination events as well that you're going to in races. Is it's hotter, it's colder, it's higher altitude and everything else, right? I mean, the altitude one is hard, and I know Alicia mentioned a couple of 3 episodes ago, either get there to 21 days ahead or get there the night before. Right. And do the sightseeing after the event and that type of stuff. The heat acclimation is a little different, right? So we can kind of get that in about 14 days, 1 week to 14 days. We can get that. And this is science that we're talking about here now. So You can get that through saunas and hot baths, right? And so I'll tell athletes that come in from your runs, and I say, as soon as you kick off the shoes, go ahead for a bath. 20 to 30 minutes. So think about a 30-minute bath is what you can shoot for with your temperatures around 104 Fahrenheit, 40 Celsius. You want it to be a warm bath. So, with that hot water immersion, and basically following the standard workout, that will start to build that plasma volume, right? And that will help you when you go up for your next run. I got a little bit more blood plasma volume. I'll be a little cooler, heart work a little less and a little less and a little less. And we can get that full adaptation by doing that pretty much on that daily basis with our sessions in about 7 to 14 days, depending on the heat. Now, I'm going to say probably with Coach Ann's location, with those higher temperatures, you might need closer to 14 days, where here we're talking maybe only 30, 40 degrees. Type thing, 40 being, only for a little bit. We might get away on the shorter side. And of course, every athlete's going to be different. And then the sauna, it's really about kind of like the same thing, right? Like, if you can get a 15, 20-minute sauna in, go a little longer if you can at those kinds of temperatures. The body doesn't know if you're actually out in the heat, right, of the sun, or if you're in a hot tub, or if, I guess hot tubs will work too, if you have one type thing, right? So, anything
I've been doing sauna year round, actually. It's my favorite. It's what I look forward to when I work out. It's like, I get 15 minutes in the sauna. I set a timer, and I always try to go for 20, and that last 5 minutes, I am like staring at the second. So if anyone does 30 minutes, like, wow, you're amazing. Yep. However, I do want to caveat the safety aspect of it. Like, don't think you need to go in there with no water and just like suffer. This is a time, like, bring the ice water. I bring my protein shake in with me. I bring my electrolyte drink with me. I am like proud person. Everyone's looking at me, and I'm just like, I bring a cold towel with me, do all the things to kind of help cool yourself down. Like, you're still getting that passive benefit, but my heart rate can get up towards like 125. And I'm like, yes, I'd rather be doing focusing on calming than running on the treadmill, like really slow. Like, this is truly passive heat training here. So don't negate it. I do want to ask you guys a question though, because I get this question more than I like to think about. Because we also have a cold plunger right next. We have a hot tub, cold plunge, sauna. And what are you guys' thoughts on the cold plunge? Do you think we should, do all three? Go cold plunge, sauna, hot tub? Genuinely curious.
And?
No, I'm gonna speak up. Back to the sauna training. I remember going down this rabbit hole for one of my early season races when we lived in the Midwest. So not paid by any means, but Roar is a great book by Dr. Stacy Sims, and she does a pretty good chapter in here about sauna training and things like that, and like how to do it going in, kind of a little bit against what you were just saying, Alicia, but going in a little bit dehydrated. Kind of simulating a workout, that so that your blood volume is actually decreased a little bit. So when you do acclimate and you're going into your race and you're hydrated, your blood volume then is increased, and it helps with that transportation of the oxygen into your muscles. So that is a very brief couple sentences.
And was that based on not doing a workout and just doing the sauna protocol, or was that directly after a session?
This was directly after a session.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So it's, if you're interested in it, it's like, pick up the book, and it's highlighted like page 2067. You can find it in the index. But back to the cold plunge. I have strong feelings about this. So I did the cold plunge for a while, because it's all people are talking about, right? Like, I got this cold plunge.
And
I think there is a place for it. When I was training for Mackinac Island swim, I did the cryo chamber. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you I don't remember what it drops down to, but it's something ridiculous. But I went into the cryo chamber more to help with overall inflammation, because my shoulders were screaming. I was putting a lot of time in the pool and just so many miles and like everything hurt. I couldn't ice it all. So I did the cryo chamber. Not the cold plunge because I could go in there for a shorter duration. Plus it was a little bit easier to get to one of those. It did make a huge difference in how I felt. I felt amazing afterwards. And then when I went to the race, I know you guys have heard me talk about it, but the water temperature had dropped significantly overnight. And when I went into the water, I did find out later, I think it was like 54 degrees. And I felt it. I was like, what is going on here? But I didn't know the actual temperature until hours after the race. And I still think that cryo chamber that I did helped me acclimate to the cold water. So in that aspect, like I believe in that whole thing, but women in perimenopause and menopause and cold plunging is like a huge no-no. It elevates the heart rate. It sends your body into additional stress, releases that cortisol because now you get into a cold plunge and you're practicing that like Lamaze breathing and you're trying to control your breath because it sucks. So you're spiking that cortisol again. And then that raised cortisol can lead to inflammation. So it's kind of counterintuitive. I am off my soapbox now. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say it depends and what it depends on, because I did a bit, because like when it came out, right, like I wanted to know more about it because I wasn't fully on board when it first came out about how it's 100% good for everything, because in my mind not everything, something would be good for one and good for another, and so that's where I kind of go, it depends. Why are you cold plunging? So the research that I found and the papers that I read, and it's, again, I'm going off memory. So if someone wants to correct me if I'm wrong, please do so in the notes. But cold plunging is good for kind of what you mentioned, and is about the anti-inflammatory side of it.
Mhm.
So if you come out of a really hard session and you're looking to bring down some of the swelling and some of the inflammation from that session, the cold plunging will do that for you, right? If you are looking to help with endurance and the muscles and endurance, it will actually have a negative effect on that. So it'll take away some endurance fitness. And again, I have to go back and pull up the stuff that I was reading, but that is what I recall, is that was good for after a hard session. So like bodybuilders, that type of stuff, to bring down some of the inflammation. But for endurance athletes, it takes away the adaptations that we're trying to get that from that, say that 2-hour run. So you go do a 4-hour long run, 3-hour long run, or a 3-4 hour bike, and you're kind of inflamed. You want to come back and you want to reduce some of that. Sure. Jump in a cold bath. Got it. But if you're looking to take what you just built up in that 3 or 4 hours, again, from what I remember, it'll have the opposite effect of what you're looking for. So it really comes down to, on the cold plunging, depending what you want it to do. And I mean, and if I was going to invest in anything, and Jess and I keep talking about it all the time, sauna. We want a sauna. Like, I want to be able to, I don't want a hot tub out the back. I don't even want an above ground pool or anything else. The kids, of course, obviously want, and things like that. I would rather just have a sauna that I can go in pretty much daily, out the back door, and just be done. And even if it's an infrared, doesn't even have to be, coal, or not coal, the hot rocks or anything like that, right? Yeah, I'll take infrared type thing. It's just something to go and do saunas, because there's so much health benefits with it as well, right? Just aside from what we're looking for. So,
What's
your thought on them, Alicia?
Yeah.
What's your thought on the cold plunge?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of quit doing it, but I think what do you think? When you get injured, what do you do for the first 24 hours? Is you ice, right? So if you have an injury, is that to say, and that's my other thing too, is if I'm going to go in a cold plunge, I'm going like the waist down. I'm not going to go like upper body all the way, or like from my neckline down. But like, I remember when I went to Italy, there was a thing, they said 3 times you go sauna, or like cold plunge, hot but you have to do it 3 times, and there's some kind of like science behind it by then, and you did feel very like recovered and stuff, but yeah, I'm kind of on the more, I think it's kind of counterproductive. I think you're going to more risk elasticity in the joints. And if you want to ice a muscle, like just put some
Yeah.
ice on that muscle. I do know, and again, this isn't like, it's one of those things I had to like think back on, but I remember, and this is the things that stick in your head. Like there's a thing of like taking a cold shower in the morning. I don't know if that's, is like a way to wake up and alert. But with that then came like a higher risk of heart attack, because people would kind of like shock their system, their blood vessels constrict, and then what do you know? You have a heart attack. Can you imagine taking a cold shower and it kills you? Like, not to throw scares
And I
away.
just want to quickly throw in a show caveat here. Everything that we talk
Don't do
about
that.
Of what we're doing is typically for the general population,
Yes.
healthy population, and our athletes, right? So our general healthy population and our athletes that are training.
However, I don't know if there's a thing out there about, I've heard of people dying from being in the sauna. Although I guess if you're too dehydrated, that could, I do sometimes sit in there. I'm like, what if nobody checks on me right now and I pass out of heat exhaustion? So there's definitely extremes to both ends. I will say I did have an athlete who, I just want a quick shout out to him. He is one of the 1,994 athletes to have completed all 8 stars. And he is now on the venture of, he wants to do all the continents. He wants to run a marathon on all the continents. So he just signed up for Antarctica. And now
Wow.
I'm like, my goggles have just gone on of like, I've never coached an athlete to, run a marathon in Antarctica. Would cold plunging help? And I think the answer might be yeah. Like,
It
We're
might.
checking into.
definitely gonna be something, trying to, train in. I mean, obviously you're not doing much training in a cold plunge, but that passive
It might help.
recovery. Yeah.
I know when I was deep in marathon training many moons ago, we did ice baths after long runs because it constricts, we know this by now, but it helps with that lactic acid buildup. It really does make a huge difference. But what you were saying, when I was thinking cold plunge, I'm thinking like shoulders down. But what you said, Alicia, like you're like, no, I'm not going lower than I'm going waist down. I feel like waist down, that's definitely what we did after a marathon. Would I do, or after marathon training, long runs, things like that, would I do that now? Probably not. I would rather sit in my Normatec than do that. But if it was the only option, there is a huge benefit from that. And I think it goes back to occasionally, that's fine. I just don't, I personally wouldn't have one on my back porch full of ice to use every day. But I think there can be a place for it. I agree.
It depends what you want out of it. If it's just simply for that inflammation, cool. But if you're doing it because you think it's going to help you get endurance, right? Like I go back to our injury prevention course, right? And we talked a lot about this, and that's where I kind of started checking in on it last year. And they just tell you, it's, if you're going to cold emerge, just do the body limb that's injured. Right. So if it's your wrist, do your wrist. If it's your leg or your knee, then it's up to your knee, that kind of stuff. Or, so again, do we need to do it for the whole body? I don't think so. Is it on my high list?
Go 60 seconds head in and holding your
Why not just do that on New Year's Eve after you sober up then, or New Year's Day, right?
We do a polar plunge down here in Florida. We have done it. Yeah, it's better. Hey, I have a quick question. This is completely off topic, but I'm going to do this. Right. JW, did you finish your coursework?
I have 3 exams left, and I am done. I did my practical for the course, so for school, practical exam last Thursday. Passed flying colors, 100% on that one.
Of course.
I have the theory for school on Friday this week, so go in for Friday night. Fun, best way to spend a Friday night, but written exam. And then Sunday I do my CSIP practical exam, and then I do the CSIP theory exam on Tuesday. And then I will be done and CSIP certified.
Okay, I have another question, totally off topic. JW, if you guys can't see, he's got like a really nice beard. Like he's well groomed. But do you shave it for the summer? Heat training.
No,
It doesn't
Being
get
more
that hot up there,
aero.
does
just
it?
the mustache, so I don't get it in all my food.
So you're a year-round beard grower.
Yeah, just letting it free flow,
Okay.
grow.
Okay.
So I
I
mean,
have
because this time last year, I had to trim 2 inches off it because I was still in the corporate world and I had to apparently look not scary, right?
Yes, 2
And so I
inches would
took
make
2
you
inches
scary.
off of it, and now it's just. And then this time last year is when I retired completely from emergency management services, and it's just been growing since. Back, so we'll get it back. I was actually just looking at some pictures. I know it's totally off subject, but where the kids before I trimmed it put all the braids in it.
braids.
They put like 5 braids with some beads, I think they put in there. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, I just
Awesome.
did not want the episode to go by if you had finished something.
No,
We'll
thank you
catch
very
you
much
next time.
for checking in. But
Yes.
I love the program, but man, this has been a long 4 years, right?
Yeah.
To get it done part-time. It's usually just a 2-year course, right? So, but I'm just so ready to get this done and then move on, and get into more specialty stuff.
What
So
does CSIP stand for? Because
the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology.
That's your number one question on your exam. You better study.
I thought that was my name.
You-
Do you get to put that on like JW, CSIP? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
Like
so
you get
yeah,
letters?
so it's so I mean, here's the big study guide for the exam. I mean, look at that, right?
Okay.
CSIP.
So yeah, it's the Canadian Society for Exercise Physiology, right?
That means you can jack up your rates too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just means that I may know what I'm talking about when I give everybody strength training.
Now, in
Oh.
Canada, is there personal trainers who aren't CSIP certified? Or do you have to
Yes.
be?
No, you don't have to be, right? And so one of the nice things just comes with the insurance and kind of everything else that we know, we look for and stuff. But it's the gold standard. So it's the highest level, like the sought after one for on the Canadian side. And again, this is for like strength training and it's just exercise in general, right? There are other ones. So the Good Life up here, probably everywhere, they have their own. I think it's called CanFit. So they
I
have
think I've
their
had a CanFit Pro. Is that something?
yeah, CanFit Pro. So that is developed and created by Good Life. There are some other online ones that you can do, right? I don't want to take away from anybody doing training and whatnot, but they just don't have the same hours as this 2-year course. So you just learn different things, right? And so you've heard me talk about, like I just talked about, injury prevention is a full semester course, right? Nutrition was part of it. And so they get right into a lot of it. And then program designing and strength training 1 and 2 and everything else. So this was, that's just about 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
And then I can be done that and moving on to the next adventure. So let's segue into the RPE before we do that, just the thermal adaptation that I was talking about. So this is just the geek number side. In that 7 to 14 days, in day 3-7, by doing what we were talking about, either through sauna or through the hot baths, or slugging it through, if you want to say, through doing your training outside, but doing it smartly and safely, in 3 to 7 days, we'll see about a 5 to 15% increase in our plasma. Right? Just think about it. Go do that 15-minute sauna, 10-minute sauna. Go do that 20 to 30-minute bath afterwards. And I even told an athlete the other day, throw some Epsom salts in there if you want to. I mean, dual purpose the bath. You just need the hot water, right? So 5 to 15% increase in the plasma in days 3 to 7. 5 to 8, you get that thermal regulatory reset. So now that kind of core temperature working with the brain starts to reset that central nervous system, right? So and that's when it's, more the triggering when to sweat, how much to sweat based on how hot we are. And then in that 7 to 14 day, it goes into what is called the electrolyte conservation, right? So the acetone pathways adapt to activity and can reabsorb sodium, right? Cool. there's the science side of what you're going to see by doing those baths and why it improves, right? Because I get that asked a little bit of, well, how does the hot bath help? And this is what it's going to do for you on the science side. Hold that bottle up one more time. The debate. So talking about acclimating to the heat, we talked about that, but how do we shift our hydration? And so what do we, and when do we increase, decrease, or what do we do for our hydration? And I'll let you go first on this one, on your thoughts on hydrating. How do you adapt or suggest your clients adapt?
So hydration just isn't in front of the workout. It's not just during the workout, and it's all the time. So down here, more so than ever, I have electrolytes in pretty much every bottle of water, every cup that I have. I take a huge jug of, like a big bottle to work, and every morning I have talked about it before. I make my own electrolytes. Every morning I put a scoop in there, and then that's usually mine for the day. But I'm not a huge just plain water drinker. Now, if we go out to a restaurant, like, it's fine. I'll be okay with that. But that hydration has to begin far before that workout starts. So, even if you are paying attention to electrolytes aren't just in what you drink, right? Like, you've got your potassium in a banana, you've got tuna fish, you've got your pretzels with some salt. I even encourage my athletes just to add additional salt to their lunch or to their food during the day to help even before a race. Like, we talk about salting your food going into your race. I have even had have told athletes to, a lot of people will do like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or like a waffle with peanut butter before they run. This might sound weird, but sprinkle some salt on it. Doesn't have to be a lot, but like a little bit will help. So anything that you can do to stay on top of it, always run with a handheld with something in it. Not just plain water. I'm not a believer in just plain water. I know there are times when you've got to get that like sweetness out of your mouth. You've got to swish water around. That's fine. But for the most part, if you're just out for like, even here, like a 30-minute walk or like a 45-minute to an hour walk, you can take a handheld along just with something in it so that you're even walking and drinking, because it happens fast. Getting dehydrated happens really, really fast. So I work on my athletes with it leading up to the race, the entire time afterwards. Super important to replace what you've lost and what you've sweat out. If you are doing heavy volumes, like I want to say maybe Ironman training, and you live in a place like this, weighing yourself before your workout and weighing yourself afterwards to see how much fluid you have lost can really help you understand, like, it happens really fast. If it's a windy day, you may not even realize how much you're sweating because it's evaporating so fast. If you're here and it's like you're just oozing sweat all the time, you don't realize how fast you're losing that. So doing that like a simple way before and afterwards can really help you understand how much that you need to replace. And any one of us, if there's like a nice little calculation that I can't remember off the top of my head, but as a coach, like, we can help you figure that out if you are curious to know how much.
Yeah, I just had it in a newsletter. That's funny that you mentioned that, right? Because it is. It's just weigh yourself, weigh your food, weigh your water, right? And then weigh what you come back, and then there's a calculation, and it gives you that kind of sweat rate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before you continue, the only thing before I forget is I'll get on the soapbox on this one, but as soon as you feel thirsty, you're already on the road to dehydration, right? You are, like, dehydrating. Basically, when on the physiology side, it's your brain saying, "Hey, dumbass, you're dehydrating. Drink something," right? And so we want to make sure that you're there. And even having, I call it the pool. The pool needs to be full, like you say, ahead of time. Like it should be every day you should have a hydration plan of drinking whatever it is that you're going to drink so that that pool is full. And then when you start draining that pool, because you will drain it faster, you should be draining it faster than you can replace it. Because if you're trying to replace more than what you're losing, there's a whole other scientific part that you're going to run into and probably end up in hospital with, right? And the hypernemia, is that the right one? Anyways,
Hypernatremia,
yeah. So yeah,
hyponatremia.
I wanted to throw that in there.
No, I think it's important. I think too, like, you know, one of my little concoctions I came up with this weekend, it's not anything new, but I was tired of just plain water, kind of tired of my electrolytes a little bit. So I sliced up a cucumber, sliced up some lemon, put it in a jug, and I actually mixed that with my electrolytes too. So my electrolyte blend's like a lemon blend anyway. So it was just something different. And I found myself drinking more because it just mixes it up, whatever it takes. If you are even like a Gatorade lover, then that also can be a good thing to get you through the hot summer days, right, Alicia?
Got some right here, right now.
So
I'm
what do you
making
think? What do you think
AW
of the Gatorade, Alicia?
It tastes great.
We had on our pre-call or pre-show call, we had a little bit of a debate on Gatorade. There are some that are Haterade haters, and there's some that are lovers. The Gator haters, and there's some that are lovers, and then there's the other party that's like, it depends. So,
Well, I'll defend myself. I'm the Gator hater.
You
I'll
are the
admit
Gator
it.
hater.
No surprise here. And yeah, it's Gatorade. Hi, not just you. It's the Gatorades. It's the all of that. I don't even know what the other ones are, but I call it the commercially readily available ones in general is what I'm against. And I'm not against them per se. It's going to depend on what you want it for. If you want a nice flavor, I tell everybody, if you want a nice flavored drink, sure, go into your corner store, pull one off the shelf. I would rather see my kids drink that than a cola. I mean, they're not allowed colas anyways because of all the health negativities that go with it, which is interesting because then I also got called out on, or we talked about, what about all the cola you drink after you come in from, a 24K leg or an ultra or anything else? And I will always say, and we know this, is that it depends. I mean, it can be one of our taglines, right, for the show, but it depends on when you're having it and what you're having it for. So I personally, even when I played high level junior A hockey, Gatorade was one of our sponsors, but we hardly ever drank it straight without either diluting it or putting our own electrolytes into those bottles, right? And so they were still there, and we would still give them out. It's now more than then with these commercial drinks. They're with the added flavoring, the different sugars and everything else. I would rather see you put your time and money into something like the Precisions, because Alicia, you're Precision, right?
I love Precision.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Precision
I like
too,
my
yeah.
BioSteels. I'm not adverse to Precision and Tailwinds and all the other ones. It just happens to be the one that works okay and well for us. And then, Anne, you're saying you're making your own, right? So
Yeah.
I'd rather see you drink those than that. But I think if we're looking for something a little more specific to what we're doing in endurance sports, I will always tell my athletes to stay away from the Gatorades and get something a little more targeted that we can actually utilize on a physiological level. And I know Alicia has different views on that.
So, Alicia, let me ask real quick. Did you use Haterade during your High rocks?
100% no. I would, and
Okay.
I would not recommend Gatorade if you're training. It's more of like, I give it to my kids. I like the taste of it. It's better. It's better than water from we're sweating. It's something. There are 22 grams of carbs and 160 milligrams of sodium. So it's really nothing. And I actually looked this up just now because I was genuinely curious when you said you can add salt to your drink.
Yeah.
But just to put in perspective, so I'm a huge fan of like 1,000 milligrams of salt. Like most of my my electrolytes that I drink, but I will say like my kids don't drink what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
So, but like they'll drink Gatorade. And does a kid need 1,000 milligrams of salt? Like that's
Probably
debatable.
not.
They're also not running for an hour, but they're definitely running and playing. So I do want them to be getting their electrolytes. However, you could also get this like um I'm kind of going all over the place, but okay, let me just pull back. A fourth of a teaspoon of salt has approximately 575 milligrams of sodium, which like that could be a red flag. When you look at from a health perspective, I feel like most people come into running from a weight loss perspective and they're told by the doctors, stay away from salt. You need to lower our cholesterol, drink water, stay away from like any kind of flavorful drinks because you should just be drinking water. And when once you come into the endurance sport, we learn it's very much we're the opposite. You need simple sugars, you need all the salt, and you're almost kind of thrown off for a loop of like, wait, but the doctors are telling me this, and then you're telling me this, and it's very like. And I have these conversations with my doctors too. Thankfully, I have doctors that are also runners, so they appreciate me. But to put in perspective, a teaspoon of salt is about 1,100 milligrams of sodium. So I feel like when you would look initially, I remember I still do drink LMNTs. That's now you can find it in Target. It's 1,000 milligrams of salt. And when you first drink that, you're like, whoa, this is very salty. And somebody who's not used to drinking very salty drinks, it can catch you off guard. I mean, I don't know if it's been a minute since I've had a martini, but I feel like those things kind of catch you off guard.
Well, it's funny you say that because Jess took that package of the BioSteel high sodium dose and she just put it into like a water bottle, like a 500 ml water bottle, and she went and did her run and she came back and I'm like, how was that? And she kind of like made all the faces of drinking it, and I go, you didn't like you put like drank it straight? She goes, yeah. And I go, oh my God, that must have been like drinking seawater. Like, what's going on? And I go, I thought you might mix it with your other, right? And I think that may help because you just put that on your tongue and you're probably going to dry out your tongue, right? Like, so mix it with your other ones for sure. It's I'll go to the standard bottle of Gatorade, the primary sugar, because we talked a little bit about the sugar. We had a little bit of a sugar debate prior to recording. With a standard bottle of Gatorade or it's sucrose and dextrose is the primary sugar type in that one. And then you mentioned there was a Gatorade Endurance or the Power one. It's sugar, fructose, and maltodextrin.
Maltodextrin. I think too the Gatorade Endurance has a high concentration of sodium because that will
it doesn't tell me that. It does say though that the Gatorade Power is optimized at the 2-to-1 ratio that it should be. The standard bottle is unoptimized, right? And then the osmolality is very slow emptying on the regular one, but fast absorbing on the Endurance. So again, it depends on what you're going for. I totally agree with you, Alicia. For the kids, we give them just a scoop of BioSteel in their water bottles to start the day, right? So that they're out there, they're running around and they're kind of drinking, or we may do half a scoop depending on if they're whatever it is. So I agree that they need it. The sugar, though, potential or the salt, I don't think a 10-year-old needs 1,000 milligrams of salt for playing. It was interesting because we're heading into, we got one more match and then we have finals for soccer, and we were doing the U7s a couple of weeks ago, Jess and I, and there was another lady on the other side, and she had them doing 10 minutes of warm up before this game for U7, right? Like running back and forth, doing all these hops and everything. And I'm sure there'll be some people yelling at me here in a second, but I'm just like, why so intense for a U7 when most of them will be picking the dandelions in about 10 minutes.
But you
right?
should look at that and be like, great, they're going to be so tired that we're going to win.
Well, when they run for an hour,
Yeah.
except for the water breaks we give them for sure. But on a younger kid, they don't quite need that warm up to go run, stop, look. I mean, like they don't. My argument is at recess, they don't go outside before they go outside and do 10, 15 minutes of warm up before they go play on the jungle gyms, right? When they play tag, they just jump up and play tag because at that age, they're slightly different, built differently than we are. They haven't, they're not kind of where we are. So I agree with the drink side. Let's give them something. I think they need it. Do they need maybe the high end stuff? Maybe not. And this is where I guess I come in and depends. If you eat the Gatorade, I will always say, and I agree with both of you, it's still gonna be better than nothing. It will always be better than a cola, right, or a soda pop. But for depending on what we're doing for us in endurance sports, I think we need to move past that and get a little more scientific. Now, which one of you called me out on that and said sometimes we overcomplicate things with all our numbers and everything else? Was that you, Alicia, or was that you, Anne?
It's never me.
It's usually me. And I'm like, I don't know about that. No, I think too, like we do overcomplicate things a lot, but it's figuring out what works for your body and and it can depend. So there's that line again. It depends. So it's figuring out what works for you. So I can give you all of the parameters and like the guidelines and like you should have 1,000 milligrams of sodium and you should drink it every this. But the reality is like you've got to be in tune with your own body enough that you know what works for you. And you also, and this comes with experience, you also then learn to pivot. And it goes another rabbit hole. That goes with your nutrition plan for marathon 70.3, anything long term, like long distance, is that very rarely do things go according to plan A. I mean, in fact, I've never had a race that goes with plan A. You've got to know what's your plan B. Like, okay, I'm feeling like this. What's plan B? Oh, crap. I dropped a bottle. What's plan C? Now what do I do? Or shit, I left it back in the hotel room. I have no nutrition. Now what is plan D? So you've got to be in tune enough and understand your body enough. We can sit here and tell you the milligrams and the fructose and the maltodextrin and all of those things. Those three forms of carbs are very important because your body needs different sources to process to give you the energy that's needed. However, you have to also be your own advocate and trying out things and figuring it out for yourself on what works for you and what works for your system.
And I think all these are great starting points, right? And again, like, yes, we want the glucose to fructose. Those are the two primary ways that we can get energy to convert into ATP to, turn over the legs, if you want to call it, right? And the best scientifically mix is 2-to-1. Right. And so all the higher ends
Actually, I heard it was 1:08, 1:8.
Maybe it was Alicia that called you out.
I think it was
so.
Approximately 2-to-1, right? But we want more glucose to fructose. But you're saying, everybody's going to be different. So you can get that from a banana, right? Is it going to be high volumes? Not necessarily. I mean, you might have to eat a whole bunch of bananas, but I mean, monkeys and gorillas that primarily eat bananas, as far as I know, according to all my Dr. Seuss books, right? And look at how strong they are. So if it works for them and their muscle development, there's got to be something to it, right? So again, we're into right now the honey. So Sun River honey, 5 tablespoons mixed with some warm water is now our gel mix. Right. And then we can throw some caffeinated ones. That's for us. It's one of the things comes down to cost. Right. So you go do an 8 or 16 hour run and you're popping 4 gels per hour to get up to the carbs, or 3 gels mixed with whatever else. Some of it comes down to cost too. Yeah. Right. So if we can do this homemade mix for half and we can add salt, and, I love that we're talking about the salt. So can it be table salt? Sure. Is it better to be more pure salt, let's say, than like sea salt, or what's the pink one?
Himalayan salt.
Yeah, right. Are those
I
better? Sure, but salt's still going to be salt in this body that we can use. Yeah,
have a question. You Canadians, why are you not using maple syrup?
some do. I have
No, but
athletes.
you don't. You prefer honey? Is that
Yeah,
just a personal preference?
just personal preference. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we
Might be
may move
cheaper
to
too.
honey on some of
Does
the
it
part.
mix better? Because I feel like I would want like I've been freezing a bottle or eating it. Does it mix? Because you said I can't imagine drinking warm water on a run. Does it? Could you put ice
For the
water and honey in? Will it mix well?
Oh, probably not, because we're trying to change the density of the honey, and that's all it is. And so, what? So to get to where you're asking, what we do right now, or what Jess does, is she mixes it the night before. So we just put the 5 tablespoons, or sorry, teaspoons, 5 teaspoons, and then 2 teaspoons of warm water, like tap
Do you
hot
really
water.
measure it, or is it like?
Well, when I did my couple hour ride or my hour ride the other day, I just went that as close and kind of did that. But that's the mixture that kind of works well. So we stick pretty close to it. Then she just mixes it all up. Then does that in a measuring cup. Then pours it into the 150 ml flasks that we got, and they're gel flasks. So all it is just when you open it, it's got like the bigger hole in the top, right? And then she puts them in the fridge overnight. And so then because she loads everything, the night before, trying to, make sure she gets to the door without procrastination, I guess, right? Like just have everything laid out the night before for the big runs. And she puts like her water bladder in there. She'll do up to 2 soft flasks, the 700 ml soft flasks with the electrolytes. And then she has, one of those, and we've got it. Reason why we do that specific measurement is because that's 1 per hour. And that alone of that mixture will give her about 90 grams of carbs just in the honey, right? And there's supposed to be enough science behind honey that it doesn't fatigue the palate, and because it's so easy on the system to digest. So as we're going, especially in heat, as we get longer into the event, so start thinking 8, 9, 10, 16 hours, hour 23 for our 100 milers, the longer you go, the less your digestive system's going to work, right? It's just the science is just there, right, Anne? Like, because you have less blood going to the digestive system to digest all that stuff. And so as we get longer, this is supposed to still be easy to digest and still maintain that 90 grams of carbs. Now, are we going to tweak that down? I think so, because we talked about Jess really likes her boiled baby potatoes. Right. And so I was reading up on that. And so they're saying some of the best ways to keep those preserved in the pack while you're out on a 3-hour or 4-hour leg is roll it in salt. Well, now we're getting into that kind of that salt content and stuff that we're talking about per hour. So it's just really nice that you can have it in your pack instead of, because as we know, as we get longer into endurance events, try doing basic math. Right. The brain's just not there to do it. So by calculating the flask and the amount, she just knows now this one, it's got to be done in the hour, right? Put it away. I got 2 more hours left on the run. This one needs to be done in an hour, and how she takes is kind of up to her.
Yeah. I know we're nearing 75-minute mark, but I met with an athlete this week. She's getting ready to race Mount Tremblant 70.3 this weekend.
In Quebec.
And we were going over her nutrition plan. So the good news with we're doing a 3-day carb load, and it's more of just, so when I tell my athletes about carb loading, I'm just like, I don't want you drinking water. I want all apple juice. I want Gatorade. That I want calories constantly. And I always say the best way to kind of get your carbs in is through liquid carbs. So you can eat 10 bagels, or you can drink a huge apple juice. And I feel like that's a instant way. But when she was telling me her plan for fueling, she's like, well, I'm having a chew and then a bottle. And we had in her bottle with all her carbs. And I was like, okay, but where's your sodium? And then she pulled out her salt tabs. And then my eyes lit up, and I was like, let me see that. And we're video chatting, and each tab had 250 milligrams of salt. And I was like, I want you closer to 1,000 milligrams an hour. And she's like, okay, well, I have this precision. I was like, oh, thank God, which has 1,000 milligrams in it, 60 carbs. So then we were able to get that 1,000 milligrams safe net. We're still using the tabs as like emergency, and she's probably still going to take them, but now we have that guaranteed 1,000 milligrams in her bottles, on top of, and then looking at the race course, they also are having Precision 1000 on the course along with Morton. So when her nutrition back fails, there's always the course, and she knows the course fuel, and she's had it, and she knows it's good with her stomach. So, but I do want to actually ask you guys a question. What are your, especially more, well, actually both of you guys more. So peeing on course. Okay, this is a fun. What are your thoughts about, because the water she's going into it's going to be 55. It's really cold. They're still getting snow melt. I told her to pee in her wetsuit before she gets in to like warm herself up. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah.
She said she will pee in her suit while she's swimming, but it's like that. Oh, before, like, oh, that's weird.
That's very talented to be able to pee while you're swimming too. But
be able to pee while you're swimming. I know. But then she says she always will go pee, like the first mile in the run. And how normal is it to pee during your race? Is that a sign she's overhydrating? Is it normal? I mean, it's a 5, 6, 7 hour race. How much should somebody be peeing during an Ironman, half Ironman, ultra?
Well, I think they're going to pee less as they get further in, right? And I find a lot of times, at least with us, usually if you kind of have that one in the morning, but you're still just monitoring and topping up, I don't know if it's been much on the radar.
I feel like it's not talked about enough about race.
Yeah, I would just say, if it's warm to start, does it not get cold later? So yeah, it may warm her up, but then would it not start to cool her after it equalizes with her exterior temperature on their skin, if you call it?
I've always said it's good luck to pee in your suit.
Yeah.
I think there are better ways to warm up for a swim. But my rule of thumb for my athletes is you should, in a half Ironman, you should have to pee once on the bike and once on the run.
Yeah.
For a full Ironman, probably maybe pee twice on the bike. And the reality is you might be lucky to pee once on the run. So when we were in Jacksonville, my athlete she's very aware. She's very like in tune with, like, she knows what was going on. And she was very in tune with her body. And her first loop, like it was, I don't know how many loops anymore, 4 loops course, for the run. And after the first one, she was like, I think she did pee on the bike once. And she came off the run, had run like maybe a half marathon. She's like, I haven't peed yet. I'm like, you're fine. Just keep going. Like and then she did have to pee. So porta potties, which I don't know if y'all have ever been in a porta potty and at the end of an Ironman, it's not the best place to be ever.
In general, yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my rule of thumb, is that like you're gonna pee before you get in the water. Usually your nerves and stuff. I mean, I don't have to pee. I kind of forget about it until I get onto the bike.
And is it a red flag if you don't? Like how you said?
Yeah, I don't think so.
If they haven't been hydrating at all, then yeah, it could be. But I mean, I'm kind of the same way. It's more of if you got to pee, that's why you see a lot of the road races, like the running or any event. There's always a big lineup at the porta potties, 2 minutes before the gun goes. I think part of that just comes into the physiology of you're nervous, you're worried, or whatever it is. It's your body just going, okay, something's going on. If I got to run here, if I got to book it, again, why do we throw up when, you're in shock and things like that? Because the body just wants to expel what's in the stomach, wants to expel what's in the bladder. So it doesn't have to worry about dealing with that when the danger, let's say, comes of what that perceived effort is about to come. I think a little bit of it's that. For our ultra people, it's usually 5-10 steps off the course, and you just go when you need to go. I think as the water moves through the body, the hydration, whether straight water or fluids, you're going to have some that make it into the bladder that need to be expelled anyways. As I mentioned, the body so the average of numbers that I use is, let's say you sweat 1.1 liters per hour, right? Your body on average can only process about a liter, right? In and about a liter. And then let's say if you take in that liter, often the body's only going to take maybe about 900 of it and expel the rest anyway. So it never takes the full amount that you put in, even if it's still a little less than what you're expelling. But I tell my athletes, like, we cannot go over that. Again, general rule of thumb, we cannot go over that, you taking in more than 1 liter per hour, because now it's going to sit there, it's going to slosh, it's going to slow you down, and you're going to have a whole bunch of other problems.
And my thing is, go to the bathroom though. Don't don't hold your pee and then not hydrate because you have to pee. That's gonna definitely take it downhill. So
exactly. Well, I think we're at about an hour and 20 here. Definitely, I'm sure we can keep going with some of the debates and whatnot. But I think been a pretty good discussion. Thank you for calling me out on some things. Your body is an incredibly adaptive machine. However, it requires honesty from the athlete. Do not fight the thermometer with your ego, right? Drop the pacing pressure. Listen to your RPE. Let the plasma volume do the heavy lifting for you. Your homework: audit your summer pacing strategy this week by executing a naked heat run. Okay, put a sweatband over your watch face, either turn off the real-time pacing alerts, run entirely by thermal feel in RPE. So how do you feel in the heat and what's your perceived effort? Then check the data afterwards and see how much your heart rate drifted. Okay, drop your RPE and the heart rate drift numbers in the comments. Anything that you want to add to this episode, direct message us, drop some comments into the comment section, follow us, like us, do all that fun stuff that's going to help us. I'm Coach JW. Drop the summer pace and fit the training into the chaos. See you out on the trail.
You're amazing.
Stay hydrated.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Ann, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.